Okay, so here's part 2 here. We're going to talk about the next couple problems on your Math Excel quiz for Unit 8. What you're going to be talking about for the next couple problems is domain and range, as well as where a graph is increasing, decreasing, or staying constant. Okay, a couple things to remember is domain and range are the only times you'll use brackets. Okay, increasing, decreasing, constant are always parentheses. Okay, so in this graph here, your domain, those are always your x values. Okay, you're looking for domain going left to right. So if I look, the farthest left this graph goes is up here. If I follow it down, it's at -8. In the farthest right my graph goes is right here at 4. Okay, this open circle means I'm going to have a parenthesis, and then the closed circle right here means I'm going to have a bracket. Okay, then for range, that's your bottom to the top of the graph. So the lowest my graph goes on the y-axis, these are all your y's, the lowest it goes is -3. The highest my graph goes is all the way up here at 9. Okay, at -3, that's actually a closed circle right there, since it's on that line, on that parabola, so it's going to be a bracket. Up here at 9, that's an open circle, so it'll be a parenthesis. Okay, if we go down to increasing, decreasing, constant, those are always parentheses. Okay, and you're always using x values when you do increasing, decreasing, constant. So you're looking at where on your graph are you increasing, where are you going up? Okay, I see we're going up from here to here. Okay, on the x-axis, that's from 2 to 4. So I'm going to say from 2 to 4, we are increasing. Those are my x values. Where am I decreasing? I'm actually decreasing in 2 spots. Okay, I'm decreasing here, this little green section, and I'm decreasing this red section here. So I'm going to do that in 2 separate chunks. Like I'll have 2 sets of parentheses. So I start decreasing here at -8, and I stop at -5. Okay, I start again at -1, and then I stop at 2. Okay, those are the 2 chunks where I'm decreasing. Your constant part, it's just this blue part here. You're going from -5 to -1. Okay, let me take a quick second to talk about the only other thing you'd see here. Okay, this is pretty much it, except if there is, I'm going to get a different color here. We'll go pink. If there was a arrow here instead of a circle, oops, okay, there we go, an arrow. If that was an arrow, that would mean it's going all the way back to -infinity, okay? So that would go all the way back to -infinity. So your domain would change from -infinity to 4. Oops, with a bracket. Okay, infinities always use parentheses. Okay, how that arrow would change your range is you'd still be starting at -3 down at the bottom, but that arrow means it's going up forever and ever and ever. So your domain would be -3 to infinity with a parenthesis. Okay, only use infinities when you see arrows. Okay, hopefully that helps with domain range, increasing, decreasing. The last part of your little online test here is you have these piecewise functions. So number 19 on the online quiz or online test looks like this. Basically what you're doing is you're going to plug all 3 of these numbers in to one of these equations up here. Okay, what you need to do though is look at the restrictions that are at the end. So here, this is talking about how x is going to equal 2. Well, over here, the first equation can only be x is greater than 2. that doesn't work there. But here we have at the bottom, x is less than or equal to 2. So I can plug 2 into that last equation, 2 plus 7, and my answer would be 9. That's all you'd be putting into the box for the answer. Okay, the next one where x equals -1, so that means x equals -1, that only works again in the bottom equation because the bottom equation is less than 2. Okay, the top one is greater than 2, -1 is not greater than 2. So I can't use the first equation, but I can use the second, -1 plus 7, that gives me 6. So I'd put 6 into that answer box. And then g of 4, that means where x equals 4. Well, this one, that's a bigger number. It has to be greater than 2, which it is. So I'm going to plug into the top equation. 2 times 4 minus 3, which is 8 minus 3. So that gives me 5 for my answer. Okay, so try your best on those. Again, you're just plugging those numbers here in for one of the equations in the problem. Okay, the last problem, number 20, again, a piecewise, it's pieces of a graph that you're actually going to graph. Okay, so it's a little tricky. Again, I'm just going to tell you to try your best. But you have two different equations here. So if I graph this first equation in pink, that equation is actually y equals 2x. I'm going to put a plus 0. Okay, that means I'm starting at 0 and moving, oopsies. Okay, I'm starting at 0 and I'm going up 2 over 1. Okay, or I'm going down 2, back 1. Okay, what this is telling me is I only want the graph less than 1 on the x-axis, which means if I go on the x-axis to 1, I only want less than, so going that way. That's the only part of the graph I'm going to graph. I'm not going to graph anything over to the right. For the second graph, right here, that's really y equals x minus 1. So I'm starting at -1. That's my y-intercept. There it is. Okay, and I'm moving up 1 over 1. Up 1 over 1. Up 1. Oh my gosh. Up 1 over 1. Okay, you can kind of see it there. Okay, and my restriction is everything greater than 1. Okay, so on the y-axis at 1, I'm going to go greater than. I don't want anything to the left. Okay, these are both less than, greater than, so they're open circles at those two spots. Okay, try your best, but there's a quick little review for you.